All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Today we got travel fears. All right, we got travel fears going from not gonna lie, I want to live, so I'm not gonna go there, all the way down to hell no. So we're gonna get started right now. Right now. Getting sick. All right, getting sick. So, and this is gonna be all third world, by the way. It's gonna be all third world countries, or not third world, but like Europe. You know, anywhere where you're not from, somewhere far away, new. All right, so this is gonna be, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So first we got getting sick in a whole different country. All right, here we go. Getting sick. That's kind of scary. That's a pretty big fear. Now, I'm not gonna specify what type of sickness, but just getting sick in general is not fun, especially in a whole different place where you're not comfortable. You know, not in your own comfortable place of your house. So that's a little bit, a little bit daunting. But it's highly unlikely that's not going to happen. Like, that's not even one of the main fears, bro. That's not going to happen. I doubt it. It can happen. Obviously, you can get sick, food poisoning. You can get COVID. Things can happen. I mean, I doubt you get COVID that quickly. I feel like the signs would show after you get back home. But still, getting sick, it's not fun. That is a pretty valid fear, though, because think about it. You're sick. You spend all that money on that trip, to fly there. You can't get a refund because you're already there. You can't do anything. You just got to take it and just be miserable. Then you got to leave. What a waste of money. So, terrible experience. I haven't been through it, but someone probably has, and they probably hate it. So, yeah, I'm gonna put this at here. Scary as hell. I'm not gonna put it at the highest because it doesn't usually happen. It can happen, but wear a mask or take your vitamins, take your medicine, and you should be all right. So, plane crash. You got plane crash, and this is, you can't really see it, but it's supposed to be that one scene, first episode of Homelander and Maeve. The plane was crashing and they just let it crash, so with the boys, the new season here now, season 5, I want to put that there because why not, go watch that show. It's a good show. Anyway, plane crash. The chances of you dying in a plane crash are quite high, right? Chances are really high. The chances of a plane crash happening in the first place are super low. Right? Super low. Like, the chance of you dying in a car crash compared to a plane crash, it's two different things, There's more, you're on the road more, so more accidents are going to happen. Therefore, your chance of death are higher, right? In the incident, if there were a plane accident, they have features and they have to take procedures to prevent that, obviously. But then again, if something were to happen, there's something that they can't really do because you can't really do much when you're in the air like that. Then you're kind of just cooked. So, yeah. So and to be honest, I'd rather go through 20 car crashes than go through one plane crash. Even a mild accident in a plane, just no. It's just I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna put this at here. That's not really a good excuse because it's not going to happen. Planes, it can happen, but it's highly likely it's not going to happen. They take a lot of procedures to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean a lot of procedures. I've seen it. They do a lot of stuff. So it's probably not going to happen. You can go on 100 flights and the most you'll get is really bad turbulence, but the plane crashing, no. Google Maps is the thing, so you don't really gotta worry about that. I'm gonna put this here because what if your phone dies? So I guess it's kind of valid, but otherwise, it's just don't get lost. So next, all right, next we got harassment, and I guess this is mostly catered to women because if you're a guy walking down the street, day or night, most guys aren't going to harass you. It's just, they're not going to do anything. If you're a woman, they be some creeps out there. So I'm going to put it here. It's pretty scary if you're a woman, but if you bring a friend, you'll probably be all right. But it depends where you go as well. So I'm going to put it here though. Harassment's scary. Not cool, and I think it's still pretty valid though, because you're in a whole different country, don't know what the people are like, you don't know what area. I'd hope you know what area you're in, but if you don't, you don't know the people, you don't know what it's like. So I think that's pretty valid. It's mostly humans that can ruin things. So yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Getting sick is worse though. Getting sick is worse. So I'm just gonna. Having a fear of losing your luggage. This one's pretty. Is it scary enough to make me not want to travel? No, because it can happen. That's why people get insurance. It can happen. So I'm not gonna say it won't. It hasn't happened to me yet, and I hope it doesn't in the future. So I'm gonna put it as a fear. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it here. I don't know. I'm gonna put it here. Because it can happen. If it can happen, it's probably not going to happen though. So I'm going to change this to hell no, I can go. There we go. Because this is supposed to be like, as in from fears that are valid all the way down to fears that are not that valid. So yeah, I kind of messed this up, but you're just going to have to deal with it. So what was the next one? Next one will be... getting robbed. It's a pretty valid fear. You can get robbed anywhere though, but in a different country, getting robbed. I'm gonna put it up here. Getting robbed is a valid fear. I think about it quite a few times when I'm out in the street, especially alone at night. Even as a guy, I still think about it. Because, you can get robbed. Whatever gender you are, getting robbed is a whole different story. People just rob you, whether you're a woman or a man. They'll just rob you. If you got goods on you, if you look like you got goods on you, you look rich, or even look middle class, or just look like you got a wallet in your pocket, they're just going to rob you. Doesn't matter. There's no discrimination to money, and they believe that. So I'm going to put it there. I haven't been robbed. I'm gonna keep it that way. I always try to avoid the sketchy areas, sketchy places. So I haven't been robbed yet, thankfully. So yeah, but otherwise, I think about it a lot, especially when I'm out. So the fact that I'm thinking about it just means that it's pretty valid, which means it's scary as hell. Which means yeah. So yeah, it's gonna go there. And actually, I'm gonna delete this right here. This doesn't even need to be here, really. That doesn't need to be there. Gonna get rid of that because that does not need to be there at all. Honestly, this is just fine how this is. Honestly, I don't need a traveling alone. This one's pretty scary. I mean, it's quite valid. It is quite valid. As someone who's traveled alone like a while, I've traveled alone so many times, and honestly, it's a little lonely. It's not scary per se. If you have your trip planned out, it's not that scary. When you're in public areas, you book yourself at a nice little place. It's not that bad. It just gets lonely at times. I think loneliness is the biggest fear here. So otherwise, if you like I can't speak. If you like the solitude and the isolation, just being with yourself, then, which honestly, everyone should learn to have that. If you can do that, then yeah, it can be really fun. So I'm gonna put this. I don't know. It's not gonna go here. I'm gonna put it in meh. I think everybody should travel at least once by themselves to get the experience. If you don't like it, then just don't travel by yourself again. I prefer to travel with friends, but I've taken way more trips by myself than with friends. But I've had a friend who's gone on trips with me, so on 2 actually. So but most of them get scared. They all get scared. They're like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't have the money. They have the money. They just get scared. So but it's all right though. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Times you're over here, just looking scared because this is gonna be my face if something disastrous is gonna happen. But I mean, this is not really specific. It's just generally like it's just overthinking. If you're an overthinker, what if this happens? What if this happens? I guess that's this whole list, but we're not gonna think like that. We're just gonna think of like I don't know. We're just gonna think generally. All right. So being an overthinker, and just being scared. So is it a valid fear to be an overthinker? Yes, it can be, but also it can't be. It's gonna go in the middle because I think it is good. It is good to overthink. Things could happen. Disastrous things could happen. Whether a big percentage rate or small, it can happen. things can happen, so you got to plan. Even when you plan, things can still happen. So when traveling, especially to a different country, it's valid to think about things and to overthink sometimes. That fear can be valid, so I'm not going to say it's not. It's going to go meh. I think that's fair. Going into a war zone, like traveling, during a war, I'm not familiar with this at all. I've only read stories. It's going to go up here. That's extremely scary. Your life's at risk. Your life is at, when it's war, rules, even with rules, it still kind of goes out the window. Things can happen, obviously, in war. You can be right in the middle of it. Whatever, you're in a war zone, things can happen. Like, it's nothing to play around with. Going to other third world countries, I'm not doing it anytime soon. Definitely not, especially with the war going on right now. I'm good with Europe, and even then, I'm a little sketch, but Europe, no, it's not too bad. But for the most part, I would never, during a war, unless things are like extremely calmed down, try and go to anywhere where the war is remotely close to. It's not worth it, not worth the risk. That's extremely scary, and that's just literally I'm not gonna lie, I just want to live, so no. And obviously, everyone's gonna agree with me with that. If you don't, then you just like war, you're just American, you just like guns, so. Flight delays or cancellations. We got the little picture, if you can see it there, that's just, the flight times, and they're all delayed. Yeah, so that's gonna go here, because, that can happen, obviously, it's happened to me before, it happens, they usually just book you another flight, or whatever the case may be, you can get a refund. It can happen. That's not even the most valid fear out of all of these. Every single one of these is more valid than this, to be honest, in my defense, because this is not really life-threatening, I don't think. This is not life-threatening. If your plane gets delayed or canceled, most of these are like, these can be life-threatening, these can be scary, but this, nah. Plane delayed, worst comes to worst, you can get a refund. Or just book a different flight. It's a different date, and that's really it. So it's not that it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I'm not gonna say it's not a big deal, because it's a big deal for some people. It can be. They have a schedule, so, but it's not life threatening. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not life threatening. So we're gonna move on to the next one. ATM skimming. ATM card scamming. When you put your card in, scan it, and then suddenly you look at your account and a lot more money has come out than it was supposed to. That is ATM scamming. A lot of countries have that. That's why usually when you use an ATM in a different country, which you shouldn't be anyway, but if you do, you don't use your debit card. As a matter of fact, I just wouldn't use an ATM at all, to be honest. But you don't use your debit card. You just don't do that. It's just like 101 stuff. Don't use your debit card. It's just not smart. Stick to credit card, and just that's it. Just stick to credit card. If something happens, the bank will deal with it. It's not your money, it's their money. So once they figure out that it was not you who was behind those payments, that's fraud, they'll get it fixed. And yeah, so just don't use your debit card. So this fear is going to go here. I don't think that's that valid. I guess no, I don't think it's valid. It really isn't that. No. I mean, it can happen. I've seen it on TikTok. I guess I'll put it here. Why not? I'll put it in here. Because you should be wary of that. You should be wary. That's something you usually can control. Sometimes you can't, but usually you can control that. Just watch where you spend your money. Make sure you're using your credit card when traveling and whatnot. So yeah. Compared to flight delays where you can't really control that, this is something you can kind of control. So, and it's not it can be kind of life-threatening, I guess, if you don't want to be stuck somewhere with no money, if someone just happens to steal your card and stuff or your information. But nah, that's not really life-threatening. I take it back. Next, running out of money. We go to Japan 2027. We go on a $1,000 budget, right? We book the cheapest flight there is, $800. We get there, we got $200 left. We book a hotel. We get some food, and suddenly we got no money left. What went wrong? What went wrong is you just did not plan your things right. You did not plan it right, and that's why you ran out of money. There should be no reason to fear running out of money when traveling. That means you just either can't afford it, that means you shouldn't be going anywhere, or you just are really irresponsible. You should not be doing that. The only time that should be happening is if someone happens to steal a lot of your money somehow and you just happen to have a little bit of cash left and you just run out. That's the only explanation. Otherwise, you just running out of money means you just didn't plan it well, which means that is all your fault. That is not a good fear. That is just stupidity. So yeah, that's gonna go here. Be wary and just save your money. Don't overspend on stuff because you don't gotta travel and overspend. Or if you want to overspend, then save a lot more before you go. It's as simple as that. All right, next is getting stranded. Getting stranded at the airport. Not at the airport, but just getting stranded in general. You don't want to get stranded. So we have here a guy sleeping at an airport because he got stranded. Now, I'm not being specific on saying stranded at an airport. I'm just saying getting stranded in general. So yeah, you don't want to get stranded. That's a pretty big fear. I put that up here because, you don't want to get stranded somewhere. Let's say you lose your passport somehow and you're stranded in a different country. That's scary as hell. That's so scary. I've thought about that. That's why you got to keep my passport safe. That is a very valid fear. Not valid as in I'm not going to travel, but just valid as in like that's actually an actual fear to have. You should be scared of getting stranded all the time. You should be scared. Because that means that's going to keep you in check to not lose your stuff, all right? Because if you lose your stuff or someone takes your stuff somehow, which honestly that shouldn't be happening either. There's no way. Unless you get robbed. Otherwise, there's no reason your passport should not be somewhere safe with you at all times. And I mean all times, no matter where you are, whether you're sleeping, eating, drinking, it should always be somewhere really safe when you're traveling, like in a zipper pocket somewhere, or in a bag that you're always wearing. It should never be leaving it at the hotel. Never leave it at the hotel. Don't leave it at a hostel. Don't do that. Just don't. If you go to the beach, honestly, if you have a friend, they have to stay there and watch the stuff. No one should be leaving their stuff unattended at a different country, especially with their passport. Don't play with that. No. Next, we have language barriers. Language barriers. You go to let's say you go to I don't know. Let's say you go to Poland, right? And suddenly they start speaking Polish and you don't know Polish. How do you buy food? How do you get around? A lot of Europeans can speak English. A lot of them can speak or understand English. If not, you have a translator. It's not that big of a deal. I've had to use my translator plenty of times when I went to Spain. And that was only a handful of times, like literally maybe less than 10 times, honestly, because most of the times they understand or they speak English because they have English is a very popular language. It's not that hard to understand. It's easy to learn. And you have a lot of people coming from around the world who speak English, a lot of Americans. So yeah, people just, they have to learn English. They have to know it. If they don't, they can at least understand it. And if they can't understand it at all, they have Translate. So honestly, language barriers should be no problem. That's not a good fear. Not a good fear at all. Use a translator at most if you're scared. So next is transportation. And this one is called unsafe transportation. And this is a weird looking image of a gingerbread man on the London Tube. I don't know. That's actually scary as hell. That's scary. If I saw that, I'd be pretty scared, bro. I'm gonna put that at here. That's pretty scary. You not want to be going, in a different country and not knowing the transportations very well, and you get on the train or whatever they have there, and you get some crazy guy shouting in a whole different species of alien language at you or something. And you don't want that. You don't want people, wielding weapons around either. Just unsafe environments, in transportation. You want to be able to get somewhere from one place to another relaxed and just relax. So we're going to put that scary as hell because that's pretty scary. But we're going to change it because for the most part, that's not going to happen. It can happen, but I mean, the only place where that actually usually could happen is New York. So I guess New York is the only exception. Maybe the London Tube. I haven't encountered anything much. So honestly, I'm not going to count the London Tube. It's more sophisticated than the New York subway. If this was the New York subway we're talking about, this would go to here, honestly. I mean, it would go top of here. But it's not the subway. This is just third world countries and their transportation systems. And for the most part, if you take a bus or a train or wherever you go, I'm not familiar with every single country's transportation, obviously, but for the most part, you should be okay. We're going to put it at meh. It's going to be good. For the most part, that shouldn't be, transportation should be no reason for not wanting to travel, or that's not really the best fear. If you're really that scared, you can rent bikes, you can Uber, you can rent a car. You can rent a car, honestly. If you're that scared of public transportation, rent a car. This one I'm pretty sure is kidnapping. 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 This is honestly, kidnapping slash trafficking. I'm gonna just put it as slash trafficking. That's extremely scary. That can be really scary in a different country. It can happen. I don't really think about it that much, but I'm a man, so I guess it's different. I'm not like a child or a woman, so it's a bit different. But even then, the fact is thinking about getting kidnapped anyway and trafficked, kidnapped or trafficked, either or doesn't. It's the same thing. Just either any of those things happening. You see it in movies and stuff, but you don't actually think about it in real life and think this stuff is actually real. This stuff actually happens to people right now as we speak, and it is very dangerous. It's unsafe and it's disgusting. And honestly, that's a very valid fear that anyone should have. I'm going to put that above here. That's extremely valid. It's going to go here. Traffic, all that. That's not good. That is not cool. I'm going to go as far as to put it up here. Okay. Because depending on your situation and your last one. We got missing a bus or a train. A little anticlimactic here. I should have made one of these like a bit. I should have made like this one, the last one, than this one. But missing a bus or a train in a different country, just book another one. This, I don't know why. Why did I put that as a fear? I don't actually know, but I'm just gonna put it here because it's not that deep. So that's it for the list today. That is the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna make a part 2, maybe not. I don't know. Thank you for watching and goodbye.